Alright, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today we're going to be reacting to this 5 hour long stream that God Logic made with a bunch of horrible points. Recently, I made a couple of videos already on this live. Today, inshallah, I got Brother Libiano with me. He's going to be going through a couple of these sections.
People like you will find him and enjoy him and live forever. But here, I want to give you this article so you can go read what the Muslim scholar said about Paul. Here it is. This is something in private chat. I'm sending it to you. Can you open it up and show him to see? Scholar after scholar said Paul was one of the messengers Allah sent with Peter and John and empowered to spread the message of Jesus, and Allah gave him victory. Muslim scholars, not me, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, Ibn Kathir, al-Qurtubi, right there. And scroll down, show him how many sources.
Quite a bit.
Right? And then we quote them and give you the Arabic. Save and go study. No, they'll hit a lot from you. Now, Lewis, you're a good man. I mean it. You're very humble. And if you're humble, I promise you, it'll be a matter of time. You'll come back home to Jesus. Because Jesus is alive. He is Lord. And the Bible is his word. And there's no good reason to stay Muslim. But that's your journey. And when you do come back to Christ, reach out to me and say, Sam, you prophesied. You said it.
I will study everything that you've talked about. I have it written down, and I promise I will look
You
into
got the
it.
links, right?
Okay, so firstly, the problem is that Sam deceptively and fallaciously appeals to an authority, right? So just because he appealed to an authority within the early Islamic tradition, it doesn't mean that the content of their opinion is something that is binding or something that is actually a strong view. It could be that the vast majority of scholars even held to this view. It still wouldn't matter because it's not binding to us as not being from the Quran and the Sunnah. Now, one thing to also point out is that all of these tafsirs that he brought up pretty much make mention of two specific narrations. One coming from Shu'aib al-Jaba'i, who's a tabi'i and is known to be taking his sources from Israeliyat, so like Jewish and Christian sources. And the second narration that is prominently found in those tafsir works is also coming from Ibn Ishaq, who's known to do tadlis. He's known not to mention his sources where he's getting it from. Ibn Ishaq is also not a first generation Muslim. But the main point here would just be that for him to take 30 tafsirs or thereabouts and to say that, oh, well, all of these are using evidences for their view. Well, no, their evidences are weak in that it only comes from two sources.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just like Dean said, well, first of all, I just want to make a quick comment. The guy that was speaking to them, may Allah guide him, he's in great error for praising an enemy of Allah and His Messenger. So that's first things first. Second things is, just like Dean said, first, there's no consensus on who these three messengers are. Just because we have early scholars who use baseless Judeo-Christian traditions and kind of try to fit them in the Islamic narrative to understand certain events that are mentioned in the Quran but not specified in detail, it doesn't mean that it's binding on us. The second issue would be that these narrations from these scholars, they assert that the city that the verse is talking about is Antioch, that Paul was one of the three messengers that was sent to that city, Antioch. Now, historically, this causes a big issue because, well, biblically speaking, in Acts, we see that Antioch actually accepted Christianity and flourished in Christianity. But the city that's described in the Quran is stubborn, does not accept the messengers, and inevitably receives a divine punishment from God where the city is divinely destroyed. Now, this does not match Antioch 2,000 years ago. We have no historical evidence of Antioch being destroyed. This contradicts the biblical narrative. I'm sure Sam doesn't believe that Antioch was destroyed and that Antiochians didn't accept Christianity, as that would contradict biblical sources. And so this is expanded on in Tafsir al-Mawdudi, which brings us up to kind of explain this away.
Right, and just to address this argument from like a base level that is sufficient, but even though we did give it a lot of detail, on a base level, it would never be the case that this view would harm Islam because it's not coming from the two sources that we take from to be hujjah or binding on us, which is the Quran and the Sunnah. Neither the Prophet ﷺ through wahi did convey this, and neither did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within the Quran convey this. It's an ambiguous verse within the Quran. As you said, there's no consensus on who these people are. And as every theory that we can think of always has holes that don't match up the two definitive sources that we have, which is obviously the Quran and Sunnah yet again. So yeah, this was a very weak point.